Any temperature gradients will cause convection, movement of salt and mixing of the sample, and will screw up the velocity run. And hold it. Does this have the turbo pump in it? Oh, it's a diffusion pump?
Yeah.
Okay, it just sounds very different than any instrument I've ever heard. But it's a diffusion. It almost sounded like a turbo. It is a turbo pump then. Yeah, it's a turbo pump. This is great. You guys are in. Yeah, this is very new. Right. This was something that Walter Stafford invented, and now I guess they're putting them in instruments. This may change what I'm about to tell you, actually. Because there's two types of pumps in here. There's something called a rough pump and a diffusion pump. And in old instruments, the rough pump was a regular vacuum pump, and then a diffusion pump was to get the last bit down. This now that has a turbo pump in, which is a much better design than a diffusion pump. With the old instruments, the diffusion pump would not start until you started the run. So we would have to trick it into setting it to a 0 speed and hitting start. And honestly, I don't know. It looks to me like that's not necessarily required with this instrument. Do you know what yeah, so because in order to protect the diffusion pump, it would not come on immediately, and there was just a funny way that they designed this. This thing is coming down to vacuum very, very fast, which is great. So what we're going to do right now probably is I'm going to set up the run parameters, and then we'll go and we'll look at this before we leave. So I just need to get over here. Very impressive. So again, this might be a little bit different than what I'm used to, so you have to bear with me. What I'm going to do is create a new file, a new run file. And I'm going to tell it the parameters that we want to use and tell it something about the samples that we're going to load. And it's convenient to do it now because we don't want to, once we go down, because it saves some time, right? It's already pumping down. So we're going to run it at 45,000. Oops. That's definitely something you do not want to do with a velocity run. I think it may tell you in some places to do a 3,000 RPM run. You do not want to do that with a velocity run. It will screw up the analysis. You want to let it go from 0 speed. So we're not going to do any pre-spinning. That's something you would do with an equilibrium run. Good. And we're going to be running, now I have to remember, that cells 2, 4, what are they? 4 and 8, 1 and 5, yeah, 1, 4, 5, right. So we're going to set up the method to do absorbance, and I typically will take a little bit shorter, 5.85 to 7.25 is enough. It'll scan a little bit faster that way. And the sample is, what's the name of it? I don't know. YYBT. Okay. I don't even know what this stuff is. T. Okay. And the concentration is 1 mg/ml. And it's just, this information just gets stored in the data files. It doesn't affect anything. It's just handy to have it written out. We're going to work at 280 nanometers. And for the details, it's actually set up perfectly. and we're going to use a 0.003, replicates 1, continuous. It's a 2-cell centerpiece, and I don't know, how are you storing, do you have a convention about where you're putting data files? Where would you like me to put them?
C drive.
Okay.
Yeah, already on the computer.
Okay, great.
Next one.
This is, okay, but it's oh, okay, yep, yep.
Then we have some OPI name that we just.
Okay, you want me to read?
Yes. Okay.
Right. Unfortunately, I would have needed to create the directory already. Okay, but I can create that if you want. Then I need to. Yeah. We'll just call this workshop, okay? I'm just creating a place to put the data. Okay. So all, yep. Not for velocity. We want to do about 003 is good for velocity run.
In case of equilibrium, we decrease the mass.
That won't change it. Actually, you want to do 0.001 for equilibrium always. The close. You want to get the best possible radius, radial. Right. I'll talk about. Let me just get this set up, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. Okay.